Hi, Dave Taylor here again, and this time I want to talk about the Dell XPS 13. Let me pull it out of its little case. And before we even open the laptop, I just want to say Dell has this really cool line of stuff. So here's this nice little portfolio bag that obviously perfectly fits the computer. And they also have this really nice backpack that includes just tons of pockets, and it's really well designed. So one of the things I like is that Dell has not, even before we even look at the computer, Dell is not just leaving us to deal with it. They actually are saying, here's a full setup. But this is the baby. This is the Dell XPS 13, and this is a beautiful laptop. Let me open it up. It's 2.8 pounds, and let me just turn it on. And the thing that's really cool about it, and the screen comes on, is that it has the tiniest bevel. It actually, I think it's the smallest bevel in the industry. It's 5 millimeters wide. And you're wondering, what do I mean by that? So can you see here that the edge of the screen here comes almost all the way out to the very edge of the actual physical display? They call this their infinity display. And this has a resolution of 3200 by 1800 pixels. That's a lot. That's a pretty dense display. In fact, since one of the things I'm going to talk about is this computer versus the new Apple MacBook, it turns out this display is actually higher resolution, and by the way, it's bigger. This is a 13-inch display, and the new MacBook is a 12-inch display. Now, Apple really prides itself on those Retina displays, and I have one with a Retina display, and it's really nice. But here's the thing. The MacBook with its Retina display is only running at 2340 by 1440 versus this guy, the XPS 13, is 3200 by 1800. What that means is that you got a lot more density, so you got a lot better resolution. And this is a beautiful screen. It's just a bright, sharp screen. And so the XPS 13, its attention to detail is something I'm really actually kind of not used to seeing from Dell, even to the point where the service tag, and I know you can't see it very well, but the service tag's under a flap on the bottom of the laptop. And when was the last time you looked at the bottom of a PC laptop and it looked this nice and elegant and well designed? So 2.8 pounds, has the same Intel i7 or i5 processor that you'd get in the MacBook. They both run about the same price, $12.99 for a fully decked out one. This one you can get cheaper, but at the $12.99 price it gets you, ready for this Mac people, a touch screen. And you know what? It's really kind of cool to have a computer with a touch screen. And I will say that when you're using Windows 8, and if you're a Windows 8 fan, whatever, but Windows 8 works a whole lot better and makes a whole lot more sense when you have a touchscreen. So here you are on your laptop, and you have all the benefits of a laptop. It's small, it's powerful, etc. And then whenever you need to, you can actually interact on the screen itself. That's a pretty cool idea, and that's something I really, really wish Apple would introduce. But Apple doesn't seem to be interested in touchscreens other than on their tablets. So the other thing to notice here on this guy is, and again, I know it's a little hard to see because I'm so far away, but you know what these are on the side? This is old school. These are actual ports. So the MacBook, the new one, as everyone's aware, has one port, USB-C. That's all you got. And so you want to plug in a thumb drive, you want to be able to hook it up to HDMI, you want to do anything like that, you're out of luck. You have to get their dongle. Even the power goes through that USB-C. So it's sort of an interesting design, but from a functionality perspective, I gotta say I like that this has a display port, it has a USB 3, it has a headphone jack. Actually, the MacBook also has a headphone jack. It has another USB, and it has this little tiny thing here that turns out to be super helpful. It's an SD card reader. I'm sorry, Apple. I really love your product line, but I want to have functionality. I don't want to have to be the person who's saying, oh, well, hold on, I got all these other things I got to pull out of my bag before I can get started. Now, to be fair, there is some sort of level of, of constraint that's here. So the Dell also comes with its dongle. And of course, I don't actually have it in here. It's somewhere in my backpack. But it's a little device. It's really nicely designed. And it gives you Ethernet. It gives you more USB. And it also gives you an HDMI plug. And it turns out that one of the things I find that I do now is actually plug my computer into televisions via HDMI. So, to be fair, the Dell XPS 13 requires me to also have a dongle to be able to use HDMI. But still, you know, the biggest difference between this and the MacBook Pro is that it's 0.8 of a pound heavier, but it's better resolution. I think it's a very elegant design. It's much more convenient with all of its ports. It's a really, really nice computer. It runs like 1,300 bucks. Now, to be completely honest, if you're a Mac person and you see a computer that doesn't run Mac OS X, you're not interested. Okay, you know, I understand that too. I'm a Mac person also. But if you are a Windows person, or if you can actually try, let's see how the other half lives, or I don't know, the other 70%, whatever the number is, this is a beautiful laptop. I think this is the best laptop on the market, and there's just so much to like about this slim, elegant little design, not the least of which is the screen. Their Infinity display means that they have a laptop with the dimensions of an 11-inch screen laptop. Let me phrase that differently. The size of this laptop is the equivalent of an 11-inch, but it's a 13-inch screen. And they did that by shrinking the bezel down. So once you look at one of these, you will look at every other laptop and you'll say, why is it so wide? Why is all that dead space around the screen? So, Dell XPS 13, you can learn a whole ton more about it at Dell.com. And this is Dave Taylor saying, this is the nicest Windows laptop I've ever put my hands on, and I'm really glad to have had a chance to use it. So I'll see you in my next video.